that looking primarily at Germany, they're in the top, at the ways in which World War I was the cause of World War II. We want to distinguish between the two wars for sure, but we also want to recognize that there's a chain of cause and effect that flows freely between the two, or continually between the two. And so, maybe not freely, one thing follows another. Maybe freely in the sense that there are some things that maybe could have been different and might have gone otherwise. Okay, some decisions that were made that might have had different results. One of those decisions is the Treaty of Versailles, and so that was one thing that was certainly human choice, certainly influenced and affected this whole thing. So you have that also the depression that is a result of the war. So recall the effect that World War I had on the United States. The United States, for whom World War I was not fought on our soil, and who were in the war for 11 months. So what effect did World War I have on our economy? Yeah.
The Great Depression.
Yeah, the Great Depression. Now, it might not have become the Great Depression, but it certainly was a recession in the 20s, right? And it was the sort of the meteoric, the too quickly, right? Too much too quickly recovery from that. It was a bubble that we blew up really big that popped. And that's what led to the Great Depression. So there was another thing that it might not have been great, but certainly we ended up in a depression. We were in a recession coming into the 20s. So we were feeling the effects of World War I, and we won. We won that war, and it wasn't fought on our soil, and we were only in it for 11 months. How much worse, imagine, the economic effects of a Germany who, for whom the war was fought on their soil, largely, and who lost the war. In fact, I mean,
Twice.
the fact that they really are the only empire left standing of the Central Powers, which unfortunately for them also means they're the only ones left to blame. And so they have to, not only are they in this horrible depression like we talked about last time, they also have to pay war reparations, so that's sort of insult to injury situation. So we talked about this in the sense that we created the desperate times of Germany. We also created or enabled the desperate measures of Germany as well. Because in this Weimar Republic that the Treaty of Versailles outlined, in the Constitution of the Weimar Republic, you have Article 48, which allows emergency powers to be given to a chancellor for protection of the nation, whatever it is, right? Whatever it happens. Next you go on, in the next box is all these isms, okay? Now these isms are there before World War I, and in fact, we already were introduced to these before World War I. We didn't sit down and talk about and define nationalism, but nationalism, you better believe, was strong and healthy before World War I, and was one of the causes of that as well. Okay, so you have the second box before that, and one thing that we want to make sure that we mark down there in nationalism is this identifying the state with the nation, okay, and so then looking to the state to guarantee the prosperity or the progress of your nation, meaning your people group. Remember, not nation as a country. What does nation mean? People group. All right. What's a people group?
Nation.
A group of people. Okay. All right. And then it is a group of people that share what? What do they have in common? Taylor?
Religion and like ethnicity.
Okay. Yeah. So what we think of as ethnicity, common descent,
Yep.
and and along with that comes language and culture, which are the things that I think you have written down there. All right. So the other isms: militarism, big armies, strong. I thought we wrote. It's not in there. I thought we wrote big armies and fancy weapons is what we wrote under here. I thought. Did you? Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you know what this means? This means they didn't write it in sixth period. All right. Well, you know what? They watch this video, for the next one, then they'll realize that they don't have it. Big armies and fancy weapons. No, I'm just writing something you already have there. So, great example of this, and of the fact that this was here before you get to World War II, but also very important for understanding World War II, is that we already saw these three at play, kind of briefly, kind of in passing, but we already saw these three in play in Japan, right? Remember we talked about Japan, how they closed their ports and they closed themselves off because their culture and their language were all Chinese, and so and their descent, right? They were islands settled by Chinese people. Well, after living in those islands for a while, there becomes to be a distinction in the actual people themselves, and they start to identify themselves as a unique culture. And so they say, you know what, we don't want to be dependent on Chinese culture anymore. Right? It's like the point in my life where I just stopped copying Tristan and everything that he did. Right, my older brother. Good portion of my life is just like, well, where should I go to college? Well, I'll just go where Tristan went. Right? Where should I go to seminary? I'll just go where Tristan went. I just followed my brother for a good portion of life, and then eventually was like, you know what? I should start just being Tyson for a while, right? Or Mr. Guthrie, sorry. And so, that's what Japan does. They close themselves off. We're going to be Japan for a while. In fact, they make it illegal to speak Chinese. And so you have to speak Japanese, and they start to create their own culture and all this. And now, those doors open up when do they open themselves up to trade and to interacting with other cultures? Aaron?
In 1917, maybe?
No. Earlier than that, we talked about.
1817?
It was because of an American Commodore.
Oh, yeah. Matthew Perry?
Yeah, Matthew Perry was a Commodore. It's a naval officer. Nope. 1852. 1852, I think, is what it was. You'll have in your notes there which specific 50 it was. But 1850s is when he rolls up, and he's got in his fleet he has a steam-powered boat. He has a couple of them, I think. But he pulls up, and they open their ports that had been closed for 200 years. Suddenly they open their ports. Well, they at that point in time were like a medieval feudal society, right? This is the time of the shogun, the samurai, and these. Okay, so the next thing we looked at with Japan was 50 years later. 50 years later, they fight a war against Russia, so world power. They fight a naval war against Russia, and they win the Russo-Japanese War. 50 years later. They go from being feudalistic, medieval civilization to, within 50 years, they become fully militarized, fully industrialized, so that they can actually beat Russia. And what that does for them is that allows them to, their nationalism that led to their militarism, allowed them to also be imperialistic, okay? And so this, because they had so much control and power in the Pacific throughout, after 1907, right? It was the Russo-Japanese War, somewhere in the single digits. They start picking off islands and acquiring those islands, and they become a Pacific superpower. Now, we can't say that they dominate the Pacific because there is another Pacific superpower. There's another country that has a shore on the Pacific, with a large, impressive navy that is a Pacific superpower. Joey?
The U.S.?
Yeah, the U.S. So, if that doesn't set you up for some tension here, that imperialistic four-square ball grabbing, right? That we've already seen, that helps show the connection of these isms to World War II, but also to show that all those things were there already in Japan before you had a World War I. Okay, now what you saw in your book, and you weren't introduced to this term, you knew it before, is that all these isms lead to the ism of fascism. They lend themselves to that. So fascism is an emphasis on the fasces. What is a fasces? It's been a while, but we saw fasces in a work of art earlier in the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it the wooden horse thing?
No, but it is wood. It involves wood. It's a bundle of sticks that are wrapped around an axe head. Okay?
Oh.
And so it's a symbol of power because the many sticks are more powerful, they're stronger. So it's a symbol of power and strength. And it's strength that the axe head represents military might. And so it's a symbol of the strength of the state. Okay? So it was something that the emperor, it stayed in the Senate or in the emperor's throne room or whatever, as a symbol of this is where the power lies. This is the power of Rome, as a Roman symbol, lies with the emperor, with the Senate, and so everywhere that you saw that was a symbol of where the power was. Well, we actually have fasces, not the modified kind that you have in the sculpture of Washington that we were looking at, where the axe head's replaced by a plow, But fasces, traditional fasces, are up on the wall at in the House of Representatives. There are two of them that kind of flank both sides of the speaker's podium. So this is a very common symbol. Fascism is an overemphasis on the power, the strength of the state, okay, of the government. So this is not probably new to you. You think fascist, you think dictator, right? And in fact, the two kind of flow together, right? Fascist, dictator, right? A dictator is a fascist. Overemphasis on the power of the state. And you already have the state. Make sure you know that means government. States aren't regions in countries. States are countries. Okay, this means the government, the leaders, the political leaders. Yes.
Can I go get a drink of water?
Yes, you may. Yeah. So you see, when you think that the state exists to progress and further your people, then you'll give power to the state to ensure that, to progress your people, right? And so there's a very close connection there between between nationalism. Oh, that was supposed to be circling it. That looks horrible. And fascism. So here's the thing that you need to understand. When we get to this third box, we could put whatever we wanted in this third box. You already have what you need for World War II in the first two boxes. So the fact that Adolf Hitler is the content of the third box, that's immaterial. Okay, you could put whatever you want in this third box, and that person or that thing would give you World War II, because you already have a situation. You already have the desperate times, and you've got the desperate measures, and you've got all of the isms in play here that are leading to to these very strong, very total governments, right? So in our class prayer, we talk about only the total reign of our loving and merciful Lord, right? Our hope is only in the total reign, not a partial reign, not an elected reign. We don't elect him and say, I'll grant you authority over me. No, he completely and totally reigns, absolutely, unquestionably, right? So he is the ultimate dictator, but there's some key words in there, right? Our hope is found in the total reign of our loving and merciful Lord. Lord is another word of authority there, right? He's loving and he's merciful. And so he's the one you want totally reigning. Right? Total reign is scary from anybody other than a loving and merciful Lord of heaven and earth. You would never want somebody to have that much power. You would think. But here's the thing, and here's the thing that we need to remember. And this is why you can put whatever you want in this third box. It doesn't have to be Hitler. Dictators don't take over countries. Okay? Dictators don't take over countries. Dictators are given power by countries. Right? Dictators don't dominate people. The people put dictators, they give the dictators their power. Notice that these emergency powers have to be given to this chancellor. They're going to be given by all these elected officials that the people put in power through a democratic process. And all of those people, those elected officials, have to agree. How ridiculously hard would that be? Surely this is an emergency that would warrant the wisdom of all these people in the Reichstag agreeing that this person should be the chancellor and have emergency power. Surely they must have actually needed it. Dictators don't take over people. The people give the dictators the power. People place dictators over themselves because they want a dictator. Okay? Why do they want a dictator? Why do people want dictators? Luke?
They want something to change.
They want something to change, right? Good. What else?
They
Yeah?
want to be what they were before.
They want to be restored to a previous glory. All right, remember the Qin dynasty. What else? Yeah.
Maybe if they tried to decide as a group, they would all have different ideas and what to change. It's they need one big person.
Yeah. This is the most efficient form of government there is. Okay? Balancing power is very inefficient. And so it takes a lot longer to get things done. If you really want to make a decision quickly, put somebody in charge and they decide. Okay? If we were like, hey, you know what? We're gonna scrap American history today. We're all just gonna go hop in a school van and we're gonna go grab some ice cream together, right? Now, where should we go?
Culver's. Yeah, definitely Culver's.
No,
Culver's.
Culver's.
See what happens? You guys see what happens? As soon as I so this very, very good thing, skipping out on history class, it doesn't take long before that becomes, before you have a Culver's faction, a Brahms faction, and a DQ faction, and all these factions like, oh no, we need to do this, and then how long is it going to take before we decide where we're going to go, right? Now, yeah, class will be over by the time you decide. Now, maybe somebody will write, hey, look, guys, if you don't make a decision, you won't be able to go. And then people just say, okay, well, just Culver's, fine, right? We'll just, but that doesn't happen. So a lot of times people will just say, hey, you know what, Mr. Guthrie, if it means getting out of class and going to get ice cream, you just pick. You just decide where we're going to go, and that's fine. And so now I might end up picking Sonic, and you're like, their ice cream is like water.
I think
What?
It's half price shakes all day. Tomorrow.
Yeah, because because they don't have any ice cream in their ice cream. It's like
They ran out of ice cream.
it's like
No, they have too much
watered
ice cream,
down.
and that's why they're having the
Oh.
half price.
It's half price shakes all day.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today? It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Good.
Mr. Guthrie just fills up with shakes. Just like, he's writing it down.
We don't need a shake.
I just realized that. He's good. He's going to Tuesday,
All right. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, half price shakes. I'm just kidding. Talk about Hitler.
Hitler wants half price.
Enough about half price shakes. Let's talk about something happy. Hitler.
Let's talk about Hitler.
Now, Hitler is not what makes World War II, okay? He's what makes World War II as twisted and evil as it was, okay? You would still have a world war. I'm convinced you would still have a world war, okay? But in the sense that Germany was just ripe to put some kind of total dictator in charge of them, who would restore them to their former glory. Okay, they were just ripe for that. Much like Italy was ripe to put a Mussolini in power. Okay, much like Russia, or the Soviet Union, we must call them, was ripe to put a Stalin in charge. Okay, and so they were ripe to put a dictator in place. It was the fact that this was the dictator that they put in place that made the horrible atrocities of World War II possible. Okay, and so the fact that this is the dictator you might put in place. Now, you look at Stalin, and he numbers wise, crunching the numbers, he has a death toll that is equal or larger than Hitler's. Okay, and it's his own people, and we can talk about why a little bit, but Hitler's was a twisted and demented rule, and so he had some very intentional purposes, of that were kind of led by some weird things. So anyway, so Hitler, we shouldn't be surprised by the fact that he had something of a troubled youth. We also want to note that his career started as an art student.
Did he paint like morbid paintings?
He got kicked out.
He studied art. All right, art. He studied art. So, let this be a lesson to you, people, that you start like studying that weird stuff, like art. No, I'm joking. Actually, if you know anything about me, you know how huge I am into art. So you know that's completely joking. But he did study art. He went to art school, and he was told by an art teacher that he would never be an artist. That he was a bad artist. He would never make it. He would never cut it. Okay, so he failed, and this left him completely depressed. Okay, well, then World War I came along, and he served as a runner, messenger That's an S. Gosh. It's like you just have these short lives, these styluses. They just can't last very long.
Stylus eye.
We'll see if my active stylus does better. And now here's an important key. Okay, he wins a medal of honor. Okay. See, it's like it gives me like one good line and then it's done. Medal of Honor. Clearly, he.
Just change on every word.
So here's the thing: is he's been told he does something well. Okay, the guy wants to be an artist and he studies art. This is his one aspiration in life is to be able to create art. And so in his studying and pursuing that, somebody says, you're not going to be this thing that you want to be. All right, a war comes and he serves as a soldier, he serves his country, and somebody says, man, you're really good at this. Okay? Never underestimate the power of affirmation. Okay? That to simply be told that you're good at something it can be a huge motivator. So this is actually apropos. I mentioned how interested I am in art. This is largely due to the fact that when I was in seminary, I had a professor that said, "Hey, would you like to walk us through, explain a painting, and have us kind of analyze a painting? I think you're really good at asking those kinds of questions." And now, this is not like you're a good artist, and that's when I say I'm interested in art, I'm not a good artist, but to be able to hear that you're good at thinking about art, suddenly I started picking up a lot more books and started thinking more about art. Hitler is good at soldiering, right? So what's he going to do? He's found something he's good at, and he's found a cause that he can stand. He becomes involved in politics, and he joins the a party. The Nationalsozialistisch Deutsche Arbeiterpartei? I think that's what it's called. Nationalsozialistisch Deutsche Arbeiterpartei.
The what?
I think that's the National Socialist German Workers' Party. National Socialist German Workers' Party. All right, so notice a lot of things that we've already talked about, a lot of terms that we already know. It's national, okay? This is about German people, the nation, the people of Germany, the German people, okay? And if that wasn't driven home enough for you, we're gonna mention which nation? The German nation, Deutsche, right? Deutsche Nation, not well. Anyway, I think it's socialist, okay? Socialist meaning that the government controls the means of production, the government redistributes wealth, the government has control over those things, right? And now notice it's not communist. So this is not a country that is using socialism to arrive at communism. Okay? This is socialist in the sense that we don't ever envision a future in which the government ever takes their hands off of the means of production. The state controls it because the state needs to have all the power. The state, we envision a very strong government over Germany, because that government over Germany is going to make Germany the best. And Germany, when we mean what makes Germany the best, are Germans. That's our national German side of things coming out, right? And represents the workers, the little people, the common person. Right? So there's an appeal there, right, to the populace, that this is not some elitist group. This is going to be a group that represents the common people, not elected by the common people, or but that will be able to stick up for the common people because they've been given absolute power to do so. Okay, so this is how you can notice they're not the Nazi fascist party. They're not calling themselves that, but there are clearly their platform, or maybe not clearly, but you can see the fact that their platform does involve absolute power, does involve total. All right, so you have the word totalitarian. Have you heard this word, totalitarian? I think it was one of your bold words in your reading. I mean, total rule. And so, yeah, if you want your political party to kind of advance and get support, don't call it fascist. Okay, call it things that people would call it national and workers. It's the American National Workers Party. But if it's in America, don't say socialist. Okay, that won't fly. Okay, Bernie Sanders tried that, and it didn't work. Although, surprising how well he was able to do actually calling himself a socialist. That's remarkable. I was kind of surprised by that. Well, we're not talking about Bernie Sanders here. So he joins this party. Soon he rises within it and eventually leads it. Why? What was it about Hitler that made him so popular? Yeah.
He won wars, I guess?
No. It didn't help. It didn't hurt that he was a war hero, but there was something else. There was something about him that was that quickly. He very quickly became leader of this political party. Joey?
They were promising to bring back Germany's greatness.
Well, now the whole political party is promising that, right? That's kind of their platform. So you're absolutely right. This is how that party is going to grow and gain influence. You're absolutely right. But what gives him popularity within this party is his ability to articulate, to describe that greatness, and to promise it in ways that are engaging, easy to listen to, and impassioned. So he was an excellent public speaker. He was a convincing and engaging and impassioned orator, so that he was easy to listen to, and fascinating to listen to, and entertaining to listen to. So all the videos that you see of him, where he's like, and you're like, dude, he just looks scary. Okay, well, he looks scary because the German language sounds scary. Okay, if you knew German and you could hear what he's saying, you would realize he's very ardently painting a picture of how great Germany can be, and calling you into let's do this, let's make Germany awesome, and we're going to restore its greatness and all this stuff, and so it would be much easier to become captivated to it if you could understand what he's saying, right? I mean, it only sounds scary because it sounds foreign to us, and because the German language does lend itself to sounding kind of scary. Oh, I just went like kind of Russian there when I rolled my R. Also scary.
Yeah, that's true.
No, Russian sounds awesome. I love me some Russian. All right, so he arrives with an excellent public speaker. And he is absolutely passionate and sold out for his cause. No, that's not better. Maybe it is.
What does that word say?
Oh, these are tiny words, aren't they?
I didn't see those tiny.
Hey, it's okay. Ah! What have I done? All right. Yeah, I think the finger works better. All right. So let this be a warning to you that that what I have in front of you is all too often a list of requirements for employment or even ministry. It's an engaging speaker who's actually really sincere and really passionate about his cause, and can gather people, can delegate well, and can actually kind of gather people around a cause and give them a vision for a common goal or mission. Right? This is too often the extent of our qualification for leadership in employment or even in ministry. Our definitions of leadership can allow Hitler to sign up for a job as good leader. Okay, let's make sure that we add into our qualifications of good leadership where that person is leading, right? And the heart and the character of the person who is the leader is going to determine where they lead, right? So the ability to get followers does not make a leader good. It makes a leader, it doesn't make them a good leader. The virtue of that leader is what makes them a good leader or a bad leader. And the virtue of that leader is going to determine where they lead, right? So very easy to become very popular, very easy to gain a following. Hitler could do it, and he did it. So, you have an attempted coup of the German government called the Beer Hall Putsch, and so this attempted overthrow of the German government, after which Hitler is arrested, and because of which Hitler was arrested. Hitler was arrested. He wasn't involved in it, didn't even know the thing was happening. Right? So there's some poor communication, and that's going to create a little bit of extra kind of anger and angst when he's put in prison and then when he comes back out. It's amazing. Now, he put in prison for treason. Oop. But he comes out immediately popular upon his coming out of prison. His popularity rises while he's in prison. Why? What does he do when he's in prison that leads to his popularity? Joey?
He wrote the book.
He writes a book, all right, an autobiography. The book is called Mein Kampf, and which means my struggle. So he writes a book about his own struggles and using his life as sort of an allegory for Germany itself. Okay, so that Germany has had its struggles. So and that is what gives him a lot of the popularity that he's able to kind of emerge from prison already, kind of having the people won over. Yes.
How would he get paper and a pen in prison?
Because it's not that strict.
Yeah, a lot of people write stuff in prison. There are different levels of and severities of imprisonment. Let's see. At least 7 New Testament books were written by Paul when he was in prison.
Oh, well,
So yeah, you can write in prison. He writes that gains some popularity. He comes out, what else do I want to say? Now, just listen to some of the rhetoric, the way that they describe and sell what they're going to implement. Okay, what the Nazi Party is promising to establish. Okay, what they're promising to establish is a third. Well, how do I spell it now? Reich. How do I spell that in German?
R-E-I-C.
Yeah, good memory. R-E-I-C. That second one's always long in German. The Third Reich. Okay? What does Reich mean? Does anybody know what Reich means?
Rain?
What? Yeah, reign, rule, kingdom, empire. Okay? It's the Third Empire, the Third Kingdom. However you want to put that, so it's the Third Kingdom. What were the first two? What did I miss something? Why is this the third one? Why wouldn't you? And why would you go with 3? Why wouldn't you want to be the first one, right? Why would you call yourself number 3? It's weird. What's the third? What were the first 2? Reichs. Reichen. Wait. Yes.
I'm assuming the second one was like World War II time?
No. This is before World War II.
World War I.
No. Good guess. It's not. Like he's gonna kind of scoot over that era of Germany. Okay, he's gonna go back a little bit further. Yes.
Was one of them the Roman Empire?
One of them was the Roman Empire. What? How is he claiming? So I get Mussolini claiming to be we're going to be the Roman Empire. Like we're Italians, we're Romans. We're going to be Rome. The First Reich, the First Empire, was the Roman Empire. But where did the Roman Empire move? The Roman Empire fell, didn't it?
Yeah.
Who conquered it?
Sure. Egypt.
Yeah, a bunch of Europeans, a bunch of barbarians. Well, so he's not claiming that the barbarians were. But after the Roman Empire fell and Rome fell, you ever heard of the Holy Roman Empire?
Yeah. Yes.
Where was the Holy Roman Empire located? Where was it based out of?
It was West Roman. West. East. It was the east half of the Roman Empire. No. It was the
No?
No.
Oh, you're thinking of Byzantium. Yes. Now, yes, they were the new Rome. All kinds of people are claiming to be the new Rome. All right, so there's a lot of competition for this. So yeah, Roman law and some of that culture stayed in the east, but they were largely Greek speaking and everything. Where the place that is called the Holy Roman Empire, the kingdom of Charlemagne and these people was Germany. Okay. And so all the way up to the 16th, 17th century in there is still referring to themselves as the Holy Roman Empire, and so that's the Second Reich. That's the Second Kingdom. And so notice how Rome was great, but Rome moved to Germany because Germany is the promise. That's the future promise of where Rome is going to be greatest. But it's not in that Second Reich, that Second Kingdom, because that fell too. That fell when a bunch of these German states were bickering and all that stuff and broke into these different states. But no, it's this united Germany that's going to rise up and be a third Reich, a third kingdom, and the third time is a charm. The third time is a charm. This is one of the things I'm sure he said. We'll never know unless we learn German.
Let's do it.
So, but we have a good start. We know how to spell our EI diphthongs now.